everyone. So my name is Ariana Brothers. I'm an IFBB Pro and I am 2019 National Bikini Overall winner along with Decon Coach. So today what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be doing a full day of eating. So I will typically kind of start out with what I'll do for breakfast, kind of break down what I do, the macros with each. Depending on the day, obviously it does vary based on your carbohydrates and fats and things like that. For me personally it does, so I'll kind of throw that in there as well, and some things you can tweak depending on your macros as well. So for this morning I'm going to be doing a blueberry and banana egg white omelet. What I will typically start off with, I'm going to go ahead and measure out my banana, and I will do just regular banana, not frozen or anything like that, and I will measure about 2 ounces. And I'm also going to use about 1/4 of a cup of blueberries as well. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there. And then, so the trick for this is to just mash it up, take a fork, literally just kind of mash it so it still has some texture. It's a little bit easier to mash once the bananas are a little bit more ripe. This one's not as bad, but it just helps out. Okay, so as you can see, it's a little bit more textured. You can also blend it if you want. I personally like the texture, so I'm not going to blend it. And then, so what I'm going to do now, I'm also going to go ahead and turn on the stove egg whites. So I will use a cup of egg whites to add to my mixture. And to also add a little bit more, I guess you could say like fluff to it, I will add some oat flour to it, just to add a little bit more substance and texture, so it's not as like rubbery sometimes with like the egg whites. The one thing I have found with this, the macros on it are very, very good. So for 1/4 of a cup, 22 grams of carbohydrates. So I will use this, and a lot of people will use this for like baking and things like that, as like a replacement for regular flour. So I'm going to measure out about 7 grams of it. I'm just gonna do about that much. So that was less than 7 grams. Okay, and then I'm also going to add just a little bit of baking powder as well, just to give it a little bit more fluff to it as well. Okay. So then what I'll do is I will typically just whisk it. Just because I do have some of the powders in there and I kind of want it to be evenly distributed. Okay, so I have my pan on. I typically will use coconut oil spray for all of my meals. Okay, I do have some on there. But I'm also going to take a paper towel and just kind of like spread it around, just to make sure it's all coated without using so much of the spray too. Okay. all nice and hot. My mixture kind of looks like that. It's a little frothy looking just because I whisked it. So go ahead and just pour it on there. Now you can also add cinnamon. I've also added pumpkin pie spice as well. So kind of whatever you have, I will add a little bit of cinnamon. Just kind of let it cook. And typically on like maybe higher fat days, I'll add some like crushed almonds in there or walnuts, and I'll kind of mix it in with the mixture as well. And I'll also throw in some maybe like unsweetened coconut chips or shavings, and I'll throw that in there as well too, depending on what I have for that day. So that's also something good that you can throw in just to add a little bit more crunch, a little bit more flavor, or you can blend it in. Some people I know will kind of blend it all together just because they don't want any chunks or textures, and then kind of cook it that way. You can do it that way as well. So the way I can tell once it's ready to kind of flip, I'll kind of jiggle the pan a little bit. If it's still a little runny on top, I'm just gonna let it sit for a little while longer. So once it starts to kind of firm up, then I know it's time to go ahead and start flipping it. But it still looks like it's still runny, so we'll give it more time. And this is something that I'll make if, while I'm prepping too, if I have the macros for it, then I will make this because it's more of like a sweeter option. And obviously, you know, during prep, you do kind of crave those sweet things. So this also is a really good meal for that, just as like a replacement if you're craving anything sweet. So I'm gonna take a spatula and kind of like walk it around the edges just to kind of loosen it up once it's time to flip it. Just so it doesn't fall apart. So I think it can cook a little bit longer. Sometimes you just kind of have to work with it. And this one is a little sloppy today, but that is okay. And if you want to kind of flip it on the other side, but there's no promises how it's going to look. And the problem is sometimes it will stick to the bottom. That's why I try to coat it as much as I could. But it doesn't always turn out that way, and that's okay. So I just kind of rolled it a little bit just to kind of help. This one won't be as pretty, but what are you gonna do? So I'm gonna let it cook a little bit longer through. probably gonna fall apart, but okay. So overall, didn't come out too bad. But this, obviously, blueberry banana, you'll see the blueberries in it. One thing I will add to it, depending on what I have for that day, I will top it with some almond butter or some mixed nut butter. So for example, I have this Nutzo one is really, really good. I'm not sure if you can see it, but this one's really, really good. Has a combination of a lot of different nuts other than peanuts. And this, obviously, almond butter. So what I'll do is I'll probably do 16 grams, about a tablespoon, and I will put that on top of this, and it's super, super yummy.